My name is Jeremy Devins, and welcome back to the Quiet Mind Astrology Podcast, where I talk about the Vedic astrology transits happening each week and how you can best work with these shifting energies, which are really just measuring patterns throughout time and space and history. And I look at enough charts, thousands of charts over many years now, and I see the patterns and I help you best understand how to work with them. And if you want to know your own birth chart to do this work, go to quietmindastrology.com, get your free Vedic birth chart. It's different than the Western birth chart, and it's true to astronomy. It's based on where things actually were in the sky at the time of your birth. And we'll be talking about that, what's happening in November 2024 this month. Do a little review of October, talk about some cool upcoming events I'm offering. And this is all going to apply to everybody equally. So no matter what your rising or moon sign is or your birth chart is, these are the energies that are shifting in the collective that you can work with, that everyone can work with. I'll talk about some specific things as we go along, but this applies to everybody equally. Again, get your free birth chart to know your chart, and there's a little training that comes with that as well, and how to read your chart. And if you really want to go into how to read and decode your chart, then I'll be offering the Vedic Astrology 101 workshop in just a couple weeks from now on Saturday, November 9th. So this is a live workshop on Zoom where I guide you through how to decode your birth chart. And you'll get to understand what your sun, moon, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, every planet means in your chart, and how to interpret it and how to decode it, how to be your own astrologer, essentially. So that's coming up, and it's at quietmindastrology.com/101 is where you can sign up right now for that. This is a live workshop, so you can ask me questions. There's time for Q&A. We go very deep in a short time, and you get lifetime access to the recording and all future classes as well. So if you're listening and you've already taken the 101 course with me in the past, you will get access to this at no additional cost, and all future 101 workshops that I do. You get access once you join it once, you get access for life to all the future ones. So that's at quietmindastrology.com/101, and that's where I guide you through how to decode your chart. So other cool things coming up this month. Also, I'll be hosting the Q with Confidence workshop. If you're a yoga teacher, you want to improve your cueing, that's coming up at quietmind.yoga is where you can learn more about that. And the Quiet Mind Yoga membership will be opening this month as well. If you want to deepen your yoga practice and have yoga, meditation practices, vinyasa, hatha, yin, over 900 classes I have in that membership. It's very thorough and deep. And that's the place where you can apply and integrate this kind of Vedic wisdom into your life through the embodiment practices of yoga, pranayama, and meditation. So that's coming up. And if you go to quietmind.yoga, you can sign up for the free newsletter and learn about that when it comes out. And then we'll have some spaces for one-to-one readings coming up in the end of November as well, and a special offer for Black Friday coming up. And then Mindful New Year is just a month away, just over a month away. On 12/12, we'll have Mindful New Year, probably my most popular event every year, where we review the past year, plan the next year in sync with astrology. And you can plan your whole year in a day in sync with astrology. That's Mindful New Year coming up on 12/12. So lots of cool things coming up over the next couple months, offers that you can check out if you want to go deeper into your Vedic studies of yoga, Ayurveda, and Vedic astrology. But today, right now, let's look back at October a little bit. So just reviewing October, what's happened? So we ended the eclipse season in October. So by now, by October, you've probably gone through a big shift in your life, a new phase of life, maybe new relationships beginning, maybe a new home, a new career path. It depends where Virgo and Pisces are in your chart. And you can go back to those episodes on the eclipses because I talk about sign by sign there. If you want to know, like, where does this affect you for your rising and your moon sign, and where Virgo and Pisces are in your chart, then go back to those episodes on the eclipses to hear more about it. But by this point now, as we're entering November, you've gone through a portal. You've passed through one of the gateways of life that we go through every 6 months in the eclipse season, where it's the ending of a chapter, beginning of a new chapter. And the broad general themes for everybody had to do with changing your health routines, improving your health routines, and confronting any areas where that's out of integrity or out of alignment, where your health is compromised or your diet's not ideal, needing to improve your routines and improve your healthcare. also lessons over the past 2 months of your spiritual path, of what really aligns you to spirituality in your path and what makes sense for you. It might be religion, it might be a certain faith, it might be reading a certain text or doing certain practices. So it's very individual. But for everybody, this need to realign your spiritual path as well has come up through the eclipse season, where you've likely had to make some important choices about what your path is or what your practices are. And then also an element of improving your vision for your future. So having some sort of direction, goal, vision, intention for your life, imagining your future is one of the big themes of the eclipse season as well, and clarifying that vision. Now, if you still feel a lack of clarity of that vision, that's okay. Sometimes we go through phases of more or less clarity. We all go through this. I think as we get closer to the new year and then we do mindful new year on 12/12, that's a great time to really set your vision for the year and look at all the major transits coming up in 2025. But short of that, for now, it's a good time to, if you haven't already, sort of set some sort of bigger picture goals or plan for the next several months and the next year ahead. And with that eclipse portal through Pisces, it's an opportunity to re envision your life, reimagine your life, and also maybe to consider people who inspire you and maybe visionaries as well. Somebody like Walt Disney or Mother Teresa or Steve Jobs, or somebody you're inspired by, the visionary that you've seen have a vision and create it in the world. Modern example now, like Elon Musk with his vision for electric cars, right? No one was really doing electric cars. So somebody had to come along and make that vision a reality. So the vision part is actually kind of easy, and actually making it a reality, like manufacturing thousands of electric cars, is not easy. So that's where it's nice with this eclipse portal. We had both the Virgo and the Pisces energy, where you can envision your future and create the practical steps to get there, just working your way backwards, step by step, to get towards your personal vision. So again, whoever inspires you, whoever you see is like maybe had some sort of vision that you can look up to personally or professionally, or even somebody you don't know, like these famous people or whatever, it's a great time to be connected to that vision as we go into the new year. So that was the big thing in October, the eclipse portal. Then Saturn went retrograde, and we've got this time of going back through lessons. Saturn was already retrograde before October, but then went back to Shatabhishak, which is a healing energy. So there's a big opportunity in October for doing some deep healing work, improving relationships, communication, and finances were big themes as well, as Jupiter went retrograde in Taurus on October 9th. Pluto went direct on October 11th, so there's a lot of deep subconscious stuff likely coming to the surface through this month as well. Big opportunities for deep subconscious healing happened in October with Venus and Scorpio as well, especially relationship, deeper, darker, and more intense stuff likely coming out about relationships, like patterns in relationships. Now, we could point to things in the public, like all this stuff with P. Diddy coming out, Sean Combs exposing the secrets and the depravity of what he was doing. That's kind of Venus and Scorpio on the darker end. But the lighter side is like doing deep tantric kind of work, kundalini practices, channeling, transmuting your sexual energy into spiritual energy, and bringing out the depths of your creative expression as well. And Venus and Scorpio can bring about some really deep healing and really powerful growth. And it's not necessarily all dark, but it is powerful and requires going within and doing this deeper work. So you've likely experienced that through October as well. Sun in Libra also brings about major opportunities for relationship healing and needing to compromise and adapt and adjust in relationships. A lot of humility comes with Sun and Libra transits, which happen every year. Then we had the full moon in Ashwini in Aries on October 17th, a great sort of thrust of energy into the end of the year, where you may feel a little bit more inspiration, a little more activation energy, more exercise kind of energy to be more physically active. And then Mars in Cancer on October 20th. Now, I got very sick. I got dengue fever, which is sometimes fatal, even 1% to 2% of people. So I got that last week around the time Mars started to go here, and Mars is going to go retrograde in December in Cancer as well. So it's a long stay with Mars and Cancer in this debilitation area. And as I talked about in the last episode, it's not always bad, but I do personally experience the Mars transits, the challenging transits, as particularly challenging for myself. And I got very sick, and I was wiped out, and just coconut water saved my life for sure. It's so medicinal. But with Mars and Cancer, is an opportunity to connect emotionally to what you really value and really attune to what your body needs, whether it's rest and recovery or physical activity. It doesn't have to be a lack of vitality or necessarily getting sick, but it does mean that there needs to be this warrior energy turning in towards the home. And that could mean more cooking in the home. It could mean more conflict in the home, but it could also mean more emotional healing in the home, where you take this warrior spirit to resolve emotional issues in the home, which I think is a great use of this energy. And I did a whole episode just on this Mars and Cancer because it's a extended stay here through the retrograde. So 8-month cycle it's going to be, which is much longer than usual for Mars in a sign. So listen to that episode if you're curious about how to work with this energy. Very important episode. And then Mercury went to Scorpio on the end of October. Also, actually, that's after I'm recording this. So talking about the future again. So Mars in Scorpio, I talked about this in the monthly horoscope for October, so check that out. But opportunity for, again, talking about deep, hidden stuff that needs to be addressed to heal it. So that was what happened in October 2024. And this is, if you're watching the video, I'm showing the screen from the email I sent out, the monthly horoscope. If you're not getting my emails, go to quietmindastrology.com, sign up for the free weekly horoscopes sent to your inbox, where I send you these transit updates every week of what's happening and how you can best work with it. That's the one place where I put all the written stuff. So if you want it written down, if you want to see it, reference it, save it to your calendar, that's the way to do it. So moving forward to November, again, I'm sharing a lot of cool stuff in November this month, a lot of exciting things like the 101 course, if you want to go deeper into decoding your chart, that's coming up on November 9th. But the first transit of note is on November 1st, the new moon in Swati in Libra. So we can see that if we're looking at the transits in the sky, we can see the sun and moon are near each other. If we look at an app like Parashar's Light that I use, you see the sun and moon are together in Libra. And on Friday, November 1st, they'll be in Swati together. So whenever we talk about Swati, I like to talk about one of my favorite Swati examples is George Harrison of the Beatles, who is famously the spiritual one in the group and the peacemaker in the group between the big egos of John Lennon and Paul McCartney. So George Harrison brought in a lot of the spirituality and a lot of the adaptability, and a lot of people consider him the glue of the band, that if they didn't have him as a sort of peacemaker, they would have probably imploded at certain points. And eventually they did, regardless. So, but he did help them stay together through so many great songs and albums. So that energy of Swati is very adaptable, very much able to bring peace and to bring a spiritual energy into a group. So as we go into this new moon in Swati on November 1st, opportunity to bring more peace into your life and more spiritual energy into your life. I like the quote from him to kind of exemplify his energy. He said, "Everything else can wait, but the search for God cannot wait." So Swati is so adaptable, so easygoing, so peaceful. But when it comes to spirituality or God or religion, whatever it is for you, there's this stronger drive, this more urgent kind of energy of we need to understand each other. We need to collaborate. We need to come together. We need to see the bigger picture. We need to see the purpose for all this and the reason. And of course, his song, My Sweet Lord, is such a beautiful song. And he brings together all the different religions in that one song. Not all of them, but the big ones. And it's such a great example, again, of the Swati energy. If you want to connect with this on November 1st, a great day to set intentions of the new moon, begin new things, start new path to do with your spiritual path and to improve your relationships. Then on Wednesday, November 6th, we have the next big transit is Venus moving into Sagittarius. And Venus, the planet of love, beauty, art, expression, romance, into Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, this adventurous energy. Now, in the deeper elements of jyotish, Venus and Jupiter are considered the royal advisors. So when you're looking to guidance in your life, Venus is your desire, what you want. I want to have nice things. I want to have this meal. I want to eat this food. I want to live in this place. It's the desire. And desire in the spiritual path, like in the Vedic path, can lead us astray. It can lead us to craving and aversion, craving what we want. I have to have it. Then it becomes more like Rahu energy, obsession. And then it also can become aversion, like Ketu, like I need to get away from it. I don't like it. Get rid of it. Right. But the Venus desire, the healthy amount of desire is like you wake up and you choose, you want to live. Like to want to live, you need to want to eat. If you want to eat, you want to live. It goes together. And if you want to eat, there's certain foods you want to eat. And then there's certain places you want to eat it, and certain quality to the food that you want. Maybe you want organic food, grass fed, whatever, pasture raised, vegan, vegetarian, right? So there's desires are unavoidable. Even just to breathe is a desire to continue to breathe and continue to live. So you can't avoid desire, you can't escape it. And some people think it's bad or shouldn't want anything, you don't want to be greedy. And that's true. And that's the Rahu side where we become craving and we become attached. And it's, I have to have this thing. And if you don't, then it's the end of the world. Anything that has you like this, that has you hooked like this, obviously is going to become problematic because it's all going to go away. And that's the wisdom of Jupiter, right? So we talk about these royal advisors. Venus is the desire, the material plane, the life, sustaining life. Jupiter is the bigger picture, the guru, the wisdom of, yeah, it's nice to want nice things and to have nice things and to know that they're impermanent and to know that they're not going to ultimately solve your problems or make everything better. Or if you have this ideal relationship or this ideal home or this much money in your bank account, Jupiter is the advisor that shows you that's not what really matters in life. And what matters is usually involving some level of growth, contribution, service, some level of connection to others, some level of sharing your wisdom and experience with others, helping others. These are benevolent Jupiter kind of energies. So, all that to say, Venus is in Sagittarius, Venus is in Jupiter's sign. And that is actually considered an enemy placement because Venus, the desire, has to be a little more answering to what's ethically, morally, spiritually ideal. And sometimes these things can be a little bit at odds. And as you move through November now, you may want to explore more parts of yourself and explore your expression and your desires more and have more of your desires. But they need to be tempered by what makes sense, what's spiritually aligned for you, and maybe more practical, maybe a little more grounded in a sense, grounded in the sense of like a spiritual groundedness, right? It's like it would be really nice to have all this romance and luxury and peace and just free expression and art in your life and just expressing yourself and going with the flow. But the Sagittarius part of us kind of pulls us into adventure and it can make us become impractical and unrealistic with these desires now. It's like, I want more and I want to travel and I want this and who cares and just do it and just go for it. And that's where it can become an enemy issue because now there's a lack of the groundedness and practicality that Venus sometimes benefits from, like being in Taurus. And Venus in Taurus would be more focused on sustainable long-term growth, whereas Sagittarius can be just fun and exciting and let's just play and let's explore. And that's good. And let's do that. But let's have the sort of spiritual wisdom of the big picture of how it fits into your spiritual path, how it fits into your values, your ethics, your morals, and what is really aligned in your spirituality too. And that brings a sort of spiritual ground to these desires. So we can't avoid desire. We must have desires. We must express desires just to be alive. And as we go into Sagittarius throughout November, there's going to be more desire to have more fun and more adventure, more exploration, more play with those desires that you want, what you want in life, and more easygoing kind of adventurous energy of like, let's just do it. Let's just sign up for this thing or buy this thing or do that thing. And that can be awesome. And we can bring in the spiritual element of the spiritual perspective with it as well throughout November. Next big transit is on Friday, November 15th, when we have the full moon in Kritika in Aries. And the moon is exalted in Taurus, specifically Rohini. So it's not entirely exalted here, but it's a great place for the moon to be. Great time for emotional connection, emotional fulfillment, celebrating things in your life. The full moon, the sense of fullness, completion, and opportunity to celebrate what's gone well over the last lunar cycle, the last month. And an example of somebody who has their moon in Kritika in Aries, because Kritika can be Aries or Taurus, but this is Frida Kahlo, the painter. She says, I paint because I need to, and I paint whatever passes through my head without any other consideration. So this is this energy to just go, to just do something. And I made a little mistake there. I apologize. So the full moon is in Kritika in Aries, not in Taurus, right? So the moon is exalted in Taurus, but not Kritika. But anyway, the full moon is actually just before the sun moves into Scorpio. So we end up getting this full moon in Kritika in Aries rather than Taurus. And it's a big difference. So moon in Aries is just let's go, let's start, let's just go for it. Don't worry about it, don't think about it. And with Venus and Sagittarius, there is that kind of energy, a little bit of impulsivity throughout November in the middle of the month to just do what you want to do and learn what you need to learn from it. And you either get what you want or you get the lesson you need. So no real problem in just following your desires and just exploring things, whatever that may be, and following your impulses. This is that kind of energy. And then just right after that, the moon will go into Taurus and sun will go to Scorpio. So the big shift of energies on November 15th and the 16th as well. So that's the full moon, 15th, time to celebrate, acknowledge what's gone well. I think it's great to do some sort of monthly review, either with the moon or with the calendar month, to just look back at what went well, what didn't go well, what would you want to improve, what do you want to plan for the next month. So if you're more connected with the moon, you might do this on the lunar cycle and set new intentions on the new moon, set celebrations and recognition on the full moon. And just like Frida Kahlo says, you just do it. You just need to do this thing, so you do the thing. And that's what the full moon in Aries can bring. That is a heightened energy. The full moon and the light of the moon brings more life up to the surface, up through the grass, through the plants, through nature. Dogs hunt more in the wild on the full moon. Animals are more active on the full moon because there's this more illumination, there's more light. And jyotish, Vedic astrology, is the study of light, the science of light. So when we have the full moon, we've got more light, more energy, more vitality, more life coming through. And in Kritika, it's an opportunity to be critical, to look at yourself, to look at your life of what is going well, what's not going well, what you want to improve, and just what needs to move. And it's this active, driven energy to just figure things out. Frida has this full moon, or she has the moon in her chart in Kritika and Aries. So she's a good model of this kind of energy. So that's a big day, November 15th, because we also get Saturn going from retrograde to direct. And when Saturn goes direct, it's more opportunities to move forward on your big projects, your plans, your long-term visions, the ways of being of service, of contributing to society, helping others. It's opportunity to move forward on those big plans and dreams from November 15th. And an example of somebody who has her moon in Satabhasha, this healing Satabhasha energy within Aquarius, where Saturn is Bjork, the singer Bjork. And she says, I'm obsessed with polarities, things that are opposites, that fight, but at the same time cannot be without each other. And if you get on the spiritual path, everything has this. There's polarity everywhere, right? Day and night, expansion of the lungs, contraction of the lungs, the pulse of the heartbeat. You're waking, you're sleeping. There is polarity everywhere, yin and yang, light and dark. And with the Saturn in Aquarius kind of energy, so I've talked about a lot over the last couple of years. We're almost through the Saturn and Aquarius transit. It will be ending in early 2025. It has been a time for major growth in technology and like things like AI and robotics and electric cars and all this kind of things that push society forward. Major progress with Saturn and Aquarius, just like last time it was there in the mid 90s when the World Wide Web became this big thing. Every time Saturn's in Aquarius, every 30 years, we have this big push into new technologies and new innovations. And Bjork, again, somebody who has Saturn in Aquarius, super innovative, super eclectic, creative person. So she's a good model of this kind of energy of Saturn in Satabisha. And it's an opportunity from November 15th through the end of the year to go back to healing routines that really nourish you and create routines and patterns in your life and habits that really nourish you and support you. I recommend the book Atomic Habits a lot. People message me sometimes like, I got that book. It's such a great book. It's one of, I think, the best books ever written because it's just so simple and clear and it applies to every area of life. And it's a very Saturn kind of book. So if you want to harness your Saturn energy, improve your discipline, your routines, your habits, that book is an excellent resource. And as we go through this now, Saturn direct, great time to improve your habits and routines and your foundation from November 15th. Also on that day, Sun moves into Scorpio. So more towards the end of the day. And we're getting out of Sun in Libra, which happens through the election season in the US. Sun in Libra is happening every time there's a US election, and then it's always divided. We'll see at this one, but it's typically a 51-49% split of who wins the presidency in the US. And that Sun in Libra kind of energy is like not a strong sense of who's the leader. Sun in Libra needs to adapt a lot. It's like a lot of weighing options, look at different sides. The leaders end up looking kind of weak when Sun's in Libra. But on a personal level, that Sun in Libra time is so great for healing relationships, learning to compromise and improve relationships. And now from November 15th for the month, Sun's in Scorpio, bringing an opportunity for deep personal growth, bringing a light into the depths, into the unconscious, into the deeper parts of ourselves. Scorpio is all about what I'm all about, the spirituality, Vedic astrology, yoga. Scorpio is all that kind of energy. When you put the sun there, you put a spotlight there. And now you're shining the light onto these dark corners of yourself, of your psyche, of your mind, of your patterns, so you can illuminate them and bring it to light. Like when you're a child and you're scared, there's a monster under the bed, you turn the lights on and you look under the bed and you feel more relaxed. Scorpio is where we have these hidden, dark, repressed, unknown, mysterious things in ourselves. And we turn the light on with Sun in Scorpio now from November 15th until December, mid-December, to look at it. And so it's such a good time for doing therapy, yoga work, spiritual work. We'll be doing the Vedic Astrology 101 class just before this on November 9th. So that's an opportunity to turn the lights on your whole chart. And I use this metaphor a lot with teaching yoga as well. When the yoga membership will be opening the day after this on November 16th, I think of yoga as turning the lights on in your body. So imagine you got a dark house, you can't see anything in there, and you start to turn the lights on. You do downward facing dog, you turn the lights on your hamstrings and your calves and your arms. You do warrior two, you turn the lights on your inner thighs and your arms and your shoulders and your focus of your eyes. And you start to turn the lights on in your mind. And literally, we're activating neural pathways that we might not normally activate when we're practicing yoga. So Sun in Scorpio is such an excellent time for practicing yoga and meditation. And from this perspective of like you're turning the lights on, you're illuminating what is hidden, what is dark, what is repressed, what is denied, what is in the shadow, as Carl Jung talks about. And the shadow becomes exaggerated in others if we don't look at it in ourselves, and it becomes a big problem. So we can't really avoid it because if like you think you have something you've seen someone else, you think they're greedy. If you spot it, you got it. If you see it, it's because there's some part of you that is greedy. And if you judge it in someone else, that's how you know you've really got something in yourself you judge as greedy and you need to address. Or it could be greed, it could be selfish, it could be hostile, it could be lazy, whatever your judgment is of others. Sun in Scorpio is an opportunity to turn the lights on those judgments and see your shadow, see your judgments so that you can see yourself better. Because you keep doing this long enough and you just see like you have all of it within you. You can be greedy, you can be lazy, you can be petulant, you can be resentful, you can be nice, you can be generous, you can be selfish. And when you see all that without judging it, without labeling, without rejecting it, denying it, repressing it, you just see like it's a potential within all of us. It's just part of the human experience. Now you're really free. Now you really have choice. And now you can also have compassion for yourself, compassion for others, and see when somebody is being selfish or greedy or manipulative or whatever the thing is, or generous or good too. Like often the positive judgments are just as challenging. To see somebody being friendly and kind and forgiving, that can be like, ugh, how could they be that way? And you could have a sort of rejection of that as well. But this is an opportunity with Sun and Scorpio to integrate these parts, all parts of yourself. And it's such a beautiful thing. So I love this kind of work. And it's, if you want to explore it more on yourself, I think doing yoga practices is so key to just awaken what's present. You become aware of so much stuff, like just holding pigeon pose. You notice where your mind goes. You notice where you're judging yourself or judging someone else. And then when you notice those things, there's such a gift, it's such an opportunity to say, oh, interesting. Where does that come from? Or when did I first have that judgment or that feeling? And what is that showing me now that I can learn from? And how can I be maybe more forgiving, more kind to myself or to others? So I love this kind of work. I think it's so huge for personal growth. It's been a lot of my biggest personal growth. And it really comes down to embodiment first, awakening the neural pathways from mind muscle connection through asana, which I think yin yoga, if you need to be a little slower, more relaxed and gentle. Vinyasa yoga, if you need to move energy, if you feel stuck, frozen, these kind of freeze responses, and awaken the body. And so much will come up through the mind, through the embodiment practice. So that's a great way to go into that. And then knowing your chart, seeing all the parts of yourself in the chart. Because every time you look at the chart, the way I teach it, we look at the auspicious and inauspicious expression, right? So for example, Sun in Scorpio, deep researcher, loves to research, seen as a leader in spirituality and subconscious and deep research kind of stuff. Or the shadow side, Sun and Scorpio can get into addictions and shadowy communities and manipulation and deception. As a kid, I was really into horror movies and scary movies and like extreme music, like death metal music and stuff like this. Really scary kind of stuff. And that's an example of Sun and Scorpio too. And that could lead down a whole path of addiction and stuff like that, which I'm very fortunate I managed to avoid that personally. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Like we all have our own challenges. But I did go down the path of the deep psychological work. I did struggle with depression for many years, actually. And that's what led me to a lot of this personal growth work. So that's one way of Sun and Scorpio too. On the inauspicious side, it could be that you get stuck in these dark corners of the mind. So again, everybody's experiencing this collectively, Sun and Scorpio. Doesn't matter if you have it in your chart or not. We all experience this Sun and Scorpio energy to a degree from November 15th to mid-December. And then the next big shift happening, Mercury Retrograde, coming up in November. So these are usually some of the big things people pay attention to in the public, in the spotlight. And Mercury will be retrograde from Jesta to Anurata inside of Scorpio. Just 20 days. This is a short retrograde, not even 3 weeks. So usually it's a little longer than this. Usually it's 3 weeks. So it's just short of that, but usually it can be a little longer too, and go through more signs. But this is pretty simple. From November 26th to December 16th, a time to go back and review all the things I just talked about with Sun in Scorpio, because it's Mercury in Scorpio. And it's now our intelligence about these areas of life, the depths, the research, the spirituality, to learn about it, to grow from it, to talk about it, and address it. So pretty straightforward. So end of November through mid-December, it's a good time to go back into deep research, things that you've explored. Go back into studying your birth chart, doing yogic practices, doing pranayama practices and mantra that you've resonated with Mercury, the communicator. A time to go back to deeper business issues. Now, with Scorpio, it's the deep research and the subconscious, deeper stuff to do with your business and contracts and business dealings with Mercury. So you may need to address some financial issues. You may need to address some unresolved issues with employees or employers or colleagues at work. Some drama, some gossip, some rumors may have come up that needs to be addressed. It's an important time to go back and review things that you've built up over the last few months, and not the best time for starting completely new things. So if you want to start a new business in beginning of December, just wait a little bit. Don't need to do it during Mercury retrograde. If you want to start like a whole new financial plan and like start investing in some new stocks that are very risky and speculative, not the best time for that. If you need to go back and review and finish unfinished stuff, clear out drawers, clear out closets, these kind of things, great. Review financials, resolve, finish old business stuff, great. So it's pretty simple Mercury retrograde. And if you start to feel like you're kind of swimming in a bunch of issues, needing to recommunicate things, miscommunicating stuff that can happen with Mercury retrograde, just slow down. Mercury moves fast. So slow down during the retrograde. Do restorative practices, resting practices, relaxing practices. All the RE words are favorable. Reviewing, revising, revisiting things from the past. And no new technology. So one thing I've seen so many times as issues with Mercury retrograde, if you buy a new phone, new computer, new device, something you missed. You got to now back up your old computer and you didn't back it up right and it didn't transfer the new device or whatever. These kind of things, just avoid buying new technology during Mercury retrograde if you can. Then the next big transit, the last one for November, is Jupiter in Rohini for 4 months, starting November 28th. So Jupiter has been retrograde, gone back to Mrigashira, and now it's further back to Rohini, and then it will go forward later on, and this will go all the way till April 9th. So November 28th to April 9th, Jupiter in Rohini. The Rohini, the reddish one, it is in Taurus, an energy to do with luxury, high quality things. People who have moon in Rohini just love to have a nice home, luxurious home, nice sheets, nice blankets, nice furniture, nice nature views, gardens. So when Jupiter goes back through this energy in Rohini, it's a great time to improve these kind of things in your life, bringing in more opportunities. With retrograde, Jupiter being retrograde, it's like you might find some bargains at thrift stores, deals and opportunities for nice luxury items. It's a great time to go kind of bargain hunting. And if you need to do any like holiday shopping around this time, November 28th throughout December is a great time for finding bargains and deals with Jupiter retrograde and Rohini. An opportunity for improving financials and going back to addressing financial bookkeeping, accounting, these kind of things. and improving anything to do with your home, your finances, your garden, and things that make you feel like you're enjoying life. Getting massages, going back to healers, body workers, teachers that resonate with you, old teachings as well, and grounded teachings that feel really inspiring. So that is our look at November 2024 with the big transits happening this month from the new moon on November 1st to bring us right into the new month with the Swati energy, to the full moon on the 15th, and all the big shifts on the 15th to shift us into this deeper energy of personal growth and following your desire. What do you want to create this month? And let yourself just explore a little bit, but come back to the Jupiter wisdom of what makes sense, what's practical and grounded. And we've got this nice sign exchange happening when Venus moves into Sagittarius as well throughout November, sign exchange with Venus and Jupiter. So we're learning about what we really want in life, what really matters to us, and improving our relationships, improving our spiritual paths. And then again, no new devices in beginning of December as Mercury's retrograde. That's a time for review, relax, restorative yoga, go back over things. And in that time, we'll be having on 12/12 the Mindful New Year live workshop on Zoom where we can review the past year. So that'll be a great time, December 12th, to review the past year, plan the next year. And again, if you want to work with me more in depth, check out Vedic Astrology 101 at quietmindastrology.com/101. And you can join us live on Zoom on Saturday, November 9th to decode your chart. I'll guide you through how to read the planets, signs, houses, and nakshatras and interpret it all. So it's a really cool workshop. It's maybe the 7th time I'm offering it now, and it's by far the best it's ever been. You get a workbook with it. It's super thorough, and you get live Q&A with me. And if you can't join live, you just send me your questions. I'll answer them. And then there's actually all the past classes you get included as well. So you can start right now. If you go to quietmindastrology.com/101, you can sign up and just start learning right now and go back to the past classes and then join us live on Saturday, November 9th to do the live workshop and get your questions answered and look at your chart in depth. Lots more cool stuff coming in November again. If you're a yoga teacher, check out quietmind.yoga for the Q with Confidence workshop, all about cueing and improving your teaching. And if you want to deepen your own yoga practice, coming up, save the date on your calendar, November 16th, the Quiet Mind Yoga membership will open. It's been closed for like 6 months now, and we're opening enrollment for the new year early, where you can deepen your yoga practice with over 900 classes on demand and live classes to deepen your yoga practice and embodiment practices. If you're looking for a one-to-one reading, that's coming up on November 23rd. I'll open some space for readings that week. And then a special offer on Black Friday, which I'll talk about as we get closer to that. And then next month, December, a little quick preview of what's coming up in December. We'll have the new moon to start the month on December 1st in Scorpio. That's a powerful new moon. And then Mars will go retrograde in December. It's time to slow down. We'll have the winter solstice at the end of the month. And Uranus' last visit to Aries. This is a big deal, actually. Uranus is hitting retrograde all the way back to Aries in December. And that is huge impact on the collective and the culture and society. And we'll talk about this and the impact on nationalism and politics. And on a personal level, a lot of personal revolution kind of energy in December. So there's something you want to move forward in your life and start a new path in life into 2025. This will be the last little thrust to move us into that energy. And this will be a really powerful thing to look at next month when we do the December 2024 horoscope. So thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you next time on the Quiet Mind Astrology Podcast.